you feel it, don't you? That restless and gnawing and deeply unsettling feeling that you are living a life of potential, but not of reality. You are the person with 1,000 brilliant ideas, but no finished projects. The person who is always on the verge of something great, but never quite arrives. You are not lazy, you are paralyzed. You are not a failure. You are a fugitive, running from the one thing that could save you, growing up. In the next few minutes, you will gain the power of a psychologist. You will understand the hidden and powerful and often destructive archetype that is secretly running your life, the Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy. And you'll soon know the difference between the freedom of youth and the prison of immaturity. Part 1. The Peter Pan Syndrome, a diagnosis of the modern soul. Look around you. Look at the men in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, who are still living like they are in their 20s. They are charming and creative and full of life. They are the life of the party. They are the ones with the big dreams, the brilliant ideas, the endless possibilities. But they are also the ones who cannot commit to a career, to a relationship, to a single and concrete and real path in life. They are the ones who are always waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect partner, the perfect opportunity. And so, they wait, and they wait, and they wait. And life, in all of its brutal and beautiful and unforgiving reality, passes them by. This is not a new phenomenon. Carl Jung gave it a name, the Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy. It is the archetype of the man who refuses to grow up, who remains psychologically adolescent, who is trapped in a fantasy of infinite potential, while his real life withers and dies. He is Peter Pan, flying high above the world of responsibility and commitment and pain. But he is also a tragic figure, a ghost in his own life, a king without a kingdom. The Puer Aeternus is not a bad person. He is often a brilliant person. He is creative and intelligent and sensitive. He has a deep and intuitive connection to the world of the spirit, of the imagination, of the soul. But he is also terrified of the real world. He is terrified of being grounded, of being limited, of being defined. He is terrified of making a choice, because every choice means the death of 1,000 other possibilities. And so, he chooses nothing. He remains in a state of perpetual and ultimately soul-crushing potential. This is the diagnosis of a generation. We are living in a culture that glorifies youth, that celebrates potential, that encourages us to keep our options open. We are told that we can be anything we want to be. But we are not told that to be anything, we must first choose to be something. We are not told that freedom is not the absence of limits, but the conscious and courageous and often painful choice of our own unique and beautiful limitations. And so, we have a generation of men who are lost, men who are drowning in a sea of infinite choice, who are paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice, who are living a life of quiet and desperate and ultimately meaningless potential. This is the curse of the Puer Aeternus, and it is a curse that can only be broken by a single and terrifying and life-affirming act of courage, the decision to grow up. Part 2. The Devouring Mother, the hidden force behind the eternal boy. No Puer Aeternus emerges from a vacuum. Behind almost every man who refuses to grow up, there is a silent and powerful and often suffocating presence, the figure of the symbolic mother. This is not just about your actual biological mother. It is about an archetype, a psychological dynamic, a hidden force that keeps the eternal boy in a state of perpetual and comfortable and ultimately destructive childhood. In Jungian psychology, this figure is called the archetypal mother, and when her presence becomes excessive, she transforms into the devouring mother, the one who, instead of giving life, traps it. This mother can be literal, an overprotective and controlling and endlessly supportive mother who never let her son make mistakes, who never let him feel pain, who never let him develop his own and necessary and hard-won autonomy. But it can also be symbolic. It can be a partner who takes on the role of the caregiver, a grandmother, a mentor, a feminine figure who protects and nourishes and embraces and in return unconsciously demands eternal and soul-crushing loyalty. The Puer then becomes a man who seeks in the feminine world not a partner, but a substitute for the mother. Someone who understands him without demanding, who accepts him without confronting, who supports him without limits. This symbiotic relationship is comfortable. It is safe. It is a warm and soft and beautiful prison. Because as long as he is being cared for, he does not need to act. He does not need to decide. He does not need to grow. He remains in a state of eternal and emotional and psychological childhood, waiting for the women around him to resolve the problems that he refuses to face. And the symbolic mother is often trapped in this game as well. She believes she is helping. She believes she is loving. But in reality, she is feeding a cycle of psychic dependency that drains the vitality of both. Jung was emphatic. The greatest tragedy is when the mother refuses to let the child be born psychologically. This means that even though the body ages, the psyche remains immature, childlike, waiting for comfort instead of seeking grounding. This dynamic becomes even more serious when the Puer enters into relationships. He falls in love quickly and deeply and idealistically. He places unrealistic expectations on his partner, as if she were a goddess who could resolve all of his internal voids. But as soon as the relationship demands depth and commitment and responsibility, he flees. He distances himself. He sabotages. Or worse, he blames the other person. Because deep down he never wanted a partner. He wanted a mother, disguised as a lover. Breaking this dynamic requires pain. It requires separation. It requires the courage to cut the psychic umbilical cord. It requires the willingness to stand on your own 2 feet, to face the world without a safety net, to become your own source of comfort, of security, of validation. It is a brutal and necessary and ultimately liberating act of psychic birth. Because growing hurts, but not growing hurts more. Part 3. The Descent. The painful path to manhood. There comes a moment in the life of the Puer Aeternus when the disguise begins to crumble. Their unfulfilled dreams become a heavy burden. The failed relationships leave deep and painful scars. The life that was once full of open possibilities starts to feel like a prison of its own making. And then, the man who still lives under the dominion of the eternal boy is forced to look in the mirror and ask, how long will I live as if I have all the time in the world? This is the breaking point. The moment when the pain of remaining immature becomes greater than the fear of growing up. But those who think that maturing is a smooth and gentle and comfortable process are mistaken. Jung did not spare words in describing this path. He said that individuation, the process by which a human being becomes truly themselves, is a psychic birth. And like any birth, it is made of pain and blood and symbolic death. The first step is to face the collapse of fantasy. It is to understand that life will not wait for you to be ready, that there is no perfect moment, that no one is coming to save you. It is to recognize that the real world is not a hostile place, but the only stage where something true and real and meaningful can happen. It is to understand that growing up is not a betrayal of your essence, but the only way to build it. But for that, one must mourn. The mourning of the idealized boy, the mourning of the imagined life, the mourning of the promises that were never fulfilled, and above all, the mourning of the symbolic mother. You must, in a psychological sense, kill the boy within. This does not mean suffocating your creativity, your lightness, or your dreaming soul. It means no longer using him as an excuse to avoid the responsibilities and the challenges and the beautiful and terrifying and magnificent adventure of adult life. This is the descent, the journey into the underworld of your own soul. It is the confrontation with your own personal shadow, the parts of you that you have repressed and denied and projected onto others. Your anger, your fear, your shame, your weakness. You must have the courage to face these parts of yourself, not to destroy them, but to integrate them, to bring their energy, their wisdom, their power into your conscious life. Because it is only by embracing your own darkness that you can become a man of true and lasting and unshakable strength. This is not a journey you can take alone. You need a guide, a therapist, a mentor, a wise elder, someone who has walked this path before you and who can hold the light for you as you navigate the darkness of your own inner world. But the journey itself is yours and yours alone, and it is a journey that will require all of your courage, all of your honesty, and all of your heart. Part 4, The Birth of the King. How to build your own kingdom. After the descent, after the mourning, after the integration of the shadow, something new begins to emerge. A new center of gravity, a new sense of self, a new kind of power. This is the birth of the king archetype within. The king is the man who has integrated the Puer. He has not killed the boy, but he has put him in his rightful place. He has access to the boy's creativity and his joy and his sense of wonder. But he is no longer ruled by him. He is grounded. He is centered. He is the master of his own inner kingdom. How do you cultivate this inner king? How do you build your own kingdom? It is not about conquering the world. It is about conquering yourself. It is about taking full and complete and radical responsibility for your own life. Here are 4 pillars of the king's kingdom. First, you must choose a path. The Puer is paralyzed by infinite choice. The king understands that true freedom is found in commitment. You must choose a path, a craft, a discipline, and you must dedicate yourself to it with all of your heart and all of your soul. It doesn't matter what you choose. It matters that you choose, because it is in the act of choosing and of committing that you begin to build your own internal structure. Second, you must embrace responsibility. The Puer flees from responsibility. The king seeks it out. He understands that responsibility is not a burden, but a source of power. You must take responsibility for your finances, for your health, for your relationships, for your own emotional well-being. You must stop blaming others, and you must start owning your own life, because the more responsibility you take, the more power you will have. Third, you must build something in the real world. The Puer lives in the world of ideas. The king lives in the world of reality. You must take your creative energy, your brilliant ideas, your magnificent dreams, and you must ground them in the real world. You must build something, a business, a family, a work of art, a community, something that will outlast you, something that will be a testament to your own unique and beautiful and powerful existence. And finally, you must learn to serve something greater than yourself. The Puer is fundamentally narcissistic. He is obsessed with his own personal freedom, his own personal happiness, his own personal potential. The king understands that true meaning is found not in self-fulfillment, but in self-transcendence. He understands that his life is not just about him, it is about his contribution to the world. It is about the legacy he will leave behind. You must find something to serve, a cause, a community, a value, a god, something that will give your life a sense of purpose, of meaning, of direction. Because a king without a kingdom is not a king at all. This is the path of the Puer Aeternus to the king. It is a long and difficult and often painful journey, but it is also the most rewarding journey a man can take. It is the journey from potential to reality, from boyhood to manhood, from a life of fantasy to a life of deep and abiding and authentic meaning. And it is a journey that is available to you right now. All you have to do is choose it. Say is yes. Let me be clear. This is not about becoming a rigid and joyless and soulless corporate drone. This is not about killing your spirit or your creativity or your sense of wonder. This is about becoming a man who can hold both the lightness of the boy and the gravity of the king. A man who can dream and who can also build. A man who can play and who can also work. A man who can be free and who can also be committed. This is the integration. This is the wholeness. This is the goal of the journey. And here is the paradox. The moment you stop running from responsibility, you become truly free. The moment you stop fleeing from commitment, you become truly powerful. The moment you stop living in the world of fantasy, you discover that the real world is far more beautiful and far more meaningful than any fantasy you could ever imagine. Because the real world is where love happens. It is where connection happens. It is where legacy happens. It is where your life, in all of its messy and imperfect and magnificent glory, actually happens. There is a story that Jung tells about a man who came to him in his 40s, deeply depressed, feeling like his life had been a waste. He had been a brilliant student, full of promise, full of potential, but he had never finished anything. He had started a dozen careers and abandoned them all. He had been in a dozen relationships and sabotaged them all. He was still living like a 20-year-old, but he was 45, and he was miserable. Jung listened, and then he said something that changed the man's life. He said, "You have been living as if you have all the time in the world, but you don't. You are going to die. And when you die, all of this potential, all of this brilliance, all of this promise will die with you. Unless you do something about it, unless you choose, unless you commit, unless you grow up." The man left Jung's office and he went home and he wept. He wept for the life he had not lived. He wept for the man he had not become. He wept for all the wasted years, all the wasted potential, all the wasted love. And then he made a decision. He chose a path. He committed to it. He started to build, and slowly, painfully, beautifully, he began to grow up. He began to become a man, and in the process, he discovered something that he had been searching for his entire life: meaning. This is the gift that awaits you on the other side of this journey. Not happiness, not success, not perfection, but meaning. The deep and abiding and unshakable sense that your life matters, that you are here for a reason, that you have a purpose, that you are not just a ghost floating through the world, but a real and solid and powerful presence. A man who is grounded in the earth. and who is reaching for the sky. A man who is living, not just existing. And the most beautiful part, when you do this work, when you make this journey, when you become this man, you give others permission to do the same. You become a model. You become a mentor. You become a living example of what is possible. You show the world that it is never too late to grow up, that it is never too late to choose, that it is never too late to build your own kingdom. And that, my friend, is a legacy worth leaving. So, the question is not whether you are capable of this transformation. The question is, are you willing? Are you willing to face the pain of growing up? Are you willing to mourn the boy you thought you were? Are you willing to cut the psychic umbilical cord? Are you willing to choose a path and commit to it and build something real? Are you willing to become a king? Because if you are, then everything changes. Your life becomes your own. Your potential becomes reality. Your dreams become deeds. And you become finally and completely the man you were always meant to be. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The path is calling to you, right now, in this very moment. And all you have to do is take the first step. All you have to do is choose. All you have to do is grow up.